Hello, my dear students. Welcome back to English class. So, today we are dealing with the first chapter of your main course book, Darwin Diaries. So, we already completed the first part of our story in the last class. So, now we are moving into the second part. Okay, so let's start our class. We landed in high surf today on the northeast coast of Chatham Island. We waded ashore through the icy water only for our clothes to be dried immediately once on land by the morning heat. To our surprise, everything here seems very dark. The beach is made of dark colored lava. The land all around is jagged and buckled. The only vegetation is the stunted brushwood, scorched by the sun. There are craters and steaming vents everywhere. I have never seen anything like this before. So they have landed in the Chatham Island and they landed in high surf. Here, surf means a mass of foam. As they have reached the Chatham Island, now they are moving ashore in order to dry out their clothes. So they are moving towards the land and they were walking with difficulty. Waded means they walked with much effort. So they walked with difficulty and finally they reached their land. And Mr. Darwin was actually surprised by seeing all this because what he saw there was the land seems very dark because of the dark colored lava, and lava was there because of volcanic eruption, and the land was also jagged and buckled. Jagged means it was rough and sharp, and here buckled means bent. So the land was not so smooth. And next, what he is noted that the only vegetation he could see there was stunted brushwood. Stunted means short, and brushwood is small twigs and branches that have broken off from trees. That means there is no vegetation also. All the twigs and branches has fallen from the trees and these were burned by the sun. Then what he saw there are craters and steaming vents. Craters are a ball-shaped cavity and vents are opening side along the gas or liquid to pass out. That means because of the volcanic eruption that had taken place, the craters and vents were everywhere. So, seeing all these unusual things that he had seen for the first time in his life, Mr. Darwin says that he had never seen anything like in his life. Okay, now let's move on to third paragraph. The barrenness of the land is deceptive. The sea around Chatham Island is swarming with fish, sharks, and turtles. The crew have been enjoying themselves fishing. The birds are unaccustomed to human company here. They hop up very close, ignoring the pebbles that are being thrown at them. It is even possible to prod or catch them. Seeing the condition of the land, one could come to a conclusion that the land is barren. Chatham Island is a barren land. Barren means it is not good for any production, and there are a lot of fish, sharks, and turtles there, and the crew is enjoying themselves fishing. Next, what he notices there is the birds were behaving in very unusual manner. The birds were welcoming the human beings. They were not scared. So Mr. Darwin was very delighted to see these unusual things for the first time. So that's all about the third paragraph. So let's proceed to the next para. Today we came across the seagoing iguana. This creature swarms in its hundreds over the rocks. The iguana is very tame. It will put up with being prodded and poked. Mr. Darwin even picked one up, swung it round his head, and threw it into a rock pool. It just picked itself up again and waddled back to where it had been lying, as if nothing had happened. So what they noticed was the seagoing Iguana. Let me tell you what is iguana. Iguana is a large tropical American lizard. So these large creatures swarms in groups, means they always move in groups. And this iguana is very tame. Tame means it is not at all frightened to people. They are a kind of domesticated animal, and that is why Mr. Darwin picked one up and swung it round his head, and he threw this iguana into a rock pool. But this animal behaved as nothing happened. It came back and started lying there itself. When the creature returned, Mr. Darwin repeated the operation, and then also it returns once more back to his place. So Mr. Darwin concluded that whereas European lizards have learned to fear man, these iguanas have failed to develop that hereditary instinct. Mr. Darwin threw it back into the rock pool. When the creature returned, he repeated the operation. Once more, the iguana plodded back to its place. Mr. Darwin concluded that whereas European lizards have learned to fear man, these iguanas have failed to develop that hereditary instinct. The iguana saw the side of the rock pool as a safe sanctuary. So it kept returning to it, even though Mr. Darwin insisted on throwing it back into the pool. Seeing this action reaction thing, Mr. Darwin concluded that European lizards fear man, but these iguanas do not have such thing. They are behaving in very different manner. That means they have this natural ability to behave in an opposite way than that of European lizards, and that is why their genes are different from that of European lizards. This means that iguana thought the place it was lying is the safe place itself. That is why it came returning back to that place, and it was not reacting on the thing that Darwin doing. Some while later, we came across the land's biggest inhabitants, the huge Galapagos tortoises. We had been trudging through the weedy vegetation when we came across a kind of path between the cinders and the cacti. Turning up one of these paths, we finally met a pair of tortoises face to face. They must have weighed at least 200 pounds each. So then after some times they came across the huge Galapagos tortoise, and they weighed across at least 2000 pounds each. So when they were roaming through the vegetation, they came across a pair of tortoises between the cinders. Cinders are the ashes from the coast lava erupted by volcanoes, and these tortoises were lying down very calmly when these people went there. As we approached, one was eating a cactus. The other gave a grumpy hiss and walked away. I tried riding its back, though the tortoise didn't seem at all concerned or even aware that I was perched on its shell. I was unable to balance and kept slipping off and landing with a thump. Midshipman King also had a go at riding the tortoise, but he ended up sprawled in an inelegant heap just as I had. So, as these people went near them, they noticed that one tortoise is eating cactus. Cactus is a kind of plant, and other tortoise gave a grumpy hiss. That means irritable hiss, and it walked away. So, this man, James Kincaid, tried to ride back of tortoise, and he actually did also, but tortoise was unaware or not at all worried somebody is sitting on his back. But because of the tortoise shell was slippery and small, he came slipping back to the ground very often, and seeing James, Midshipman King also tried to sit at the back of the tortoise. Midshipman King is an officer in the Royal Navy, so he also wanted to sit at the back of tortoise, and he sat also, but because of the slippery of the smooth shell, he also came back towards the ground. So that's all about this paragraph. Let's proceed to the next paragraph. On Albemarle Island, we came across a second species of iguana. In contrast to its cousin on Chatham Island, this is a land-based reptile. It is just as unaccustomed to people as the seagoing iguanas on Chatham Island. Mr. Darwin watched one of them burying itself in a burrow. When it was halfway underground, he pulled its tail. The iguana emerged to see what the matter was. It clearly wanted to know what was impeding its progress, and it stared hard at Mr. Darwin as if to say, "What are you playing at?" But it wasn't afraid. It hadn't yet learned to fear people. Then on Albemarle Island, they came across a second species of iguana, but it is entirely different. That this iguana is a land-based reptile, while the previous one was seagoing animal. So these iguanas also unaccustomed to people. That means they were not at all scared of human existence. So Mr. Darwin watched one of them burying itself in a burrow, and he pulled its tail when he was halfway underground. So again this animal didn't react or attack to Darwin, but this time what is happened that the animal stared at Mr. Darwin, and it was like the iguana wanted to say, "Why are you doing this to me?" But the animal doesn't afraid of him. If it was afraid, either it may ran away or it might have attacked Mr. Darwin. But here nothing happened. Now let's proceed to sixth paragraph. James Island was the last island we visited. Mr. Darwin was particularly interested in the finches. Their habits were varied. Some of them lived on cacti and some on insects and leaves. Some stayed on the ground, while others lived in the trees. Mr. Darwin had them all sketched. He would lay out the sketches and point out the way they all had beaks suited to their particular diet. Some had long, pointy beaks, while others had shorter, heavier ones. He sat watching the wildlife and smiled. So, James Island was the last island they visited. Darwin was particularly interested in the finches. Finches are small birds with colorful beaks. What happened was these finches had different habits because some lived on cactus, others lived on insects and leaves. Some finches stayed on ground and some finches lived in the trees. So Mr. Darwin had sketched all these finches. What he showed to team members that these finches had its beak suited to their particular diet. Some had long pointy beaks, others had shorter or heavier ones. So that's all about this paragraph. Now let's move on to the last paragraph. As we sailed away from the island, some of the officers told Mr. Darwin that they had seen different birds and tortoises on different islands. This has provided him food for thought. He calls the Galapagos the land that time forgot. I have a feeling it is a land he will remember all his life. So they sailed away from the island and they had experienced all sort of birds and animals on different island, and that is what the officers told to Mr. Darwin, that they had explored everything. So this provides Charles Darwin food for thought. Food for thought means that he wanted to think about on this matter very seriously, that he wanted to revisit these places once again or over and over again in order to explore more, study about it deeply. So that is why he called this Galapagos Island the land that time forgot. That means these were the land people usually visit, means these were the land that nobody visit or rarely visit, but Charles Darwin wanted to visit again and again. That is why James said that he has a feeling that Charles Darwin is going to remember throughout the life. So we completed this chapter. I hope it is clear to you. So you want to read the chapter several times, and if you come any difficulties, you can ask me. So that's all for today. Thank you all.